Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Tragic roadside mishap claims the life of a Princestown man. Ministry mobilizes after severe flooding and landslides. Barrackpore man chops friend in an alcohol-fueled dispute. And domestic violence victim sues state over collapsed assault case. Now for the details. A roadside stop turned fatal for 56-year-old truck driver and mechanic Anil Drake Singh on November 21st near Princestown. Singh, originally from St. Julian Road, stopped to urinate when his van, parked too close to a hidden precipice, shifted as the edge of the road gave way. The vehicle struck Singh, who fell before flipping down a 30-foot landslip. While two friends in the van survived with injuries, Singh later succumbed at the Princestown District Health Facility. His sister, Anela, recalled her shock, saying Singh was initially responsive but complained of breathing difficulties before becoming unresponsive. She has called for caution signs to prevent future accidents. Barrackpore police are investigating. Singh's funeral is set for November 26th. The Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government has launched a coordinated response to flooding and landslides caused by heavy rainfall from a low level through on November 23rd. The bad weather triggered significant street flooding, fallen trees and landslides, particularly in northern Trinidad. Areas like Upper La Puerta Avenue, La Saiva Road and Long Circular Road saw blocked roads and property damage. Disaster management teams, along with agencies like CPEP and the fire service, have been working to clear roads and assess damage, with cleanup efforts continuing in locations such as Carenage, PT Valley and Crystal Stream. The ministry urged residents to stay vigilant and report issues to local corporations. A drinking session turned violent in Barrackpore on November 20th, leaving a 23-year-old man hospitalized with severe injuries. Police say the incident occurred around 10 p.m. at the home of a 52-year-old man on Kanai Road North. An argument over alcohol escalated, leading the older man to attack his friend with a cutlass, inflicting multiple wounds to his legs, chest and abdomen. The victim returned home despite his injuries, while the attacker called police, confessed and handed over the weapon. He also guided officers to the victim's home, where they found him in bed and rushed him to the San Fernando General Hospital. The victim remains hospitalized and PC Cyrus is investigating. A domestic violence survivor has filed a constitutional claim against the state, alleging police and prosecutorial failures led to the dismissal of assault charges against her ex-fiancé, violating her fundamental rights. The case, assigned to Justice Carol Gobin, will be heard on December 11th. The woman, who remains anonymous for safety reasons, claims the police prosecutor missed multiple court hearings, causing the case's collapse in May 2023. She accuses the state of failing to ensure accountability for such lapses, leaving victims without justice. The victim alleges her ex-fiancé assaulted her and her mother in 2022 during a child handover. She said delays, procedural missteps, and insensitive questioning by police compounded her trauma. This case comes amidst widespread criticism of the criminal justice system's handling of domestic violence cases and calls for stricter enforcement to prevent procedural failures. The claimant seeks damages and declarations of constitutional violations. Well, that's news to the hour on WESN. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for watching.
WESN.
This holiday season, bring the magic of Christmas home with WESN's Joy of Christmas. Relive timeless classics, from the laughter to the heartwarming moments that make the season unforgettable.
Hey, light the lamp, not the rat, light the lamp, not the rat!
Santa's coming to town! Santa! Oh my God!
Whoa!
Oh, baby.
Experience the joy of WESN special productions, crafted to bring you new stories and cherished memories. This year, let WESN bring the joy of Christmas to your home.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!
the joy.
Anchors away. May the force be with you.
Only on WESN, your content capital.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
WESN.
Hello, hello, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Breakthrough on WESN Content Capital. I am your host, Mark Anthony Peter, and joining me on the table, finally after a few weeks, is my co-host, Sean Michael Small. Hello, Sean, how are you?
Suffering from audio issues.
Yeah, I know, yeah. It's
Oh, that's loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just
it's also loud for me too. But that's fine. That's fine. We kind of move forward. But it's good to be here.
It's been a while, so we have to like reset.
Yeah, reset.
And redo and all of that jazz.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping not to lose my hearing. And coming from me, that's a lot.
Yeah, boy. Oof.
Yeah, usually I'm the too loud one, so I don't know what,
An hour before the show, he was having a very, very, not intense, but a very...
Let's not go, like, listen.
I had to close the door. I was trying to do some work.
One of the things that Keaton always says is the off-air conversations could be a doozy. And this was a serious one. This is not suitable subject matter for Breakthrough. So I'm trying to now reset my mental and get to a happier place. Ironically, we're going to have a not so serious, very serious discussion.
Yeah, but... it is what it is. Now, we do have an interesting topic in store for everyone.
Before we get there, though, I don't want to let the beginning of the show pass. There's some bad news I think we should speak about.
Before we get to the topic, there is some unfortunate news to sort of report on. So the arts community has lost yet another great musician, humanitarian and educator. Dr. Leah Brown passed away on Friday morning. She was an assistant professor at University of Trinidad and Tobago Academy for the Performing Arts. She was head of the vocal studio. She was the artistic director of the Lydian Singers, and she held many, many other different titles and roles in her extensive experience and her life. And but more than just being very important in the performing arts and the education sector, she was a great mentor to many, and she always shared her knowledge and her wisdom to many of her students, including myself. She was considered a mentor for me as well. And, obviously our deepest condolences go out to the UTT APA, all of her students, her close family and friends, and all of the organizations that she has worked with. She was a guest on this show in season 1, and she shared a lot of her wisdom and knowledge with us. And we do have a little bit of a clip that we'd like to share with you. So let's go to that, please. What would you say to somebody who's in a position like that, where they're in that uncomfortable space, where they want the security of the corporate job, but the fulfillment of what they're pursuing?
Yes, I've had a few of my students like that who left the corporate world because they loved music so much. And I think for everybody it's different. You have to know how important it is for you to fulfill your dream, you know, to live your dream. And for some people, it's very important for their mental health. You know, and the corporate world is just not for them. But then there are times, for example, if you have a family, where, you know, the bottom line becomes more important, and we have to put it off. And that happened to me, as a matter of fact. I put off my education for a little bit, you know, to get married and have kids, and then I went back. You know, so for some people, it's you have to choose because you have to choose. But if you're allowed to, if you know you have the chance to, I would always say follow your heart first. Follow your heart.
In peace. Now, in that clip, I sort of asked the question to her, what would you say to somebody who is in that uncomfortable space when they want to choose the corporate life, but their dream is to be in the performing arts? And, you know, she said, you know, you do have to make a choice. When you do have family, just like she did, you know, she came back to it. She came back to the performing arts after she had, you know, all those family obligations and things like that. So, you know, and she even mentioned that sometimes it's better for the people's mental health when they have to follow their dreams, even though it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, all right? Because I know many, even current students, they may be working in the corporate world and stuff like that, and then they pivoted to follow their dream to pursue performing arts or creative arts and all that it has to offer. And it's a bit of a very uncomfortable situation for them when they have to make that choice, right? So she said, follow your heart.
And the thing is, though, like, being a musician, ideally, the more successful you are, the harder it is to do things like maintain normal relationships, to have the normal family life. That's not to say that now in the age of the internet, one of the things that I've seen is digital nomads kind of showing, hey, so I have my family on a sailing boat, we're sailing around the world. I know more than one families in that situation. So now it begs the question, well, if you could do that for people who are sailing, to what extent could that be like the next step for artists who have families, as opposed to leaving them and going on your road, taking them with you, right? But that has its own set of different responsibilities that maybe an artist might not have the time for, to do homeschooling directly, or maybe a spouse will mind the kids with some help, but to allow you to stay with them. Like, the situation is evolving. What is right last year, last week, yesterday is not necessarily the be-all and end-all next year, next week, tomorrow. But that's just one of those things that young people kind of need to answer. Because actually, the topic that we have, there's one or two of those things that I think, you see, it's one thing to follow your dreams, but you kind of have to do it responsibly. Not just, okay, the responsible thing sometimes is to not follow your dreams, right? But then, of course, now for your mental, what if you regret? What if you say, what if? But even if you are following your dreams, there's also like, well, you have to do it properly. You have to be responsible doing it. Otherwise, you're just wasting time, and it's an excuse to try to avoid something else, as opposed to, no, this is what I really want to pursue.
I think there's a difference between, as I said, that there's a difference between following your dreams and following a dream. And I think you can want to do certain things, but then when you're truly passionate about something and you really want to do it, you'll put in the necessary work for it. And just sort of, I mean, I hate to say it, but with this sort of news and having her on, this is what I kind of hoped BreakThrough kind of be, in terms of chronicling the knowledge and the wisdom of all of these people, so that we can have a resource to go back to, as opposed to all of these things getting lost when they are gone. So I'm sort of grateful for that. So I'm grateful for this and the audience that watches us for it.
I guess you could say it's not enough of her, but you got a good topic that will encapsulate some of what she imparted on her students, so that others could either come back to it or have it for those who are too young to be taught by her directly, or to be taught by anyone like her from this current generation. As part of this current generation's teachings will live on in this one episode.
Right,
and
for sure.
it goes without saying, folks, I would just say for Mark, there were all the intention in the world to bring Dr. Brown back for further discussions, and it was just, that's part of the tragedy for us, the fact that she's no longer available to speak anymore, to share more, and for us to record more.
Yeah. But, you know, I will be honest, I don't, anytime these sort of things happen, it's very strange to continue life. And not, you know, but it's just one of those things, and life goes on. So.
I'll say this, we had a young man who was a colleague here, not too long. He did some work social media for us until just before COVID. And then we found out while he was working in the field, something happened and he passed away in an accident. And it was just one of those things where it kind of felt odd hearing that news, and then, all right, and now I'm going to go back to my day and do the things that I wanted to do. That's very weird. It is. It
is. But, you know, life does move. All right? And so we are moving with it, all right? Kicking and screaming even. So, but we go on. So the topic for today, so it was very interesting, and I saw it. I saw the post on Instagram, and I thought this is really interesting. It's sort of talk about the 5 life paradoxes a musician would sort of encounter, and it talks about, and I'm going to expand it to all artists because I've had this conversation with all artists before.
I'll say this, I think most of these could apply to life and business in general, but the last one I suspect is very pointed to the arts.
Yeah. So, you know, it's called these 5 life paradoxes. Let's go to that first image. They're the 5 life paradoxes every musician must navigate, all right? And so the first one that they have, the failure paradox. The more often times you fail, the more times you'll succeed. Our greatest moments of growth stem from our greatest failures, all right? And then it goes on to say you can't just halfway try something and fail a lot and think that success is on the horizon, but trying thoughtfully will lead to success faster than not. So let's talk about that first one for a little bit. So you know, it's very interesting to see that because, and I think this is the point that I was making. You can come back to us now, but this is the point that I was making. Doing it thoughtfully, following your dreams thoughtfully. It's true. It's a very uncomfortable feeling when you have to. The best way to learn is to actually not succeed at something or to fail at something. And it's sad to say, but I think many of our, at least my primary and secondary school experiences, it's not very conducive to making mistakes. Yeah. You kind of have to always get it the first, second, third time. And the reality, and you know, it's not a space conducive to the realities of failure. You know, so there seems to be this sort of expectation of young children to get it right the first time. And this sort of also encourages this sort of anxious energy that we see a lot of young people coming up with now, especially with these students when they're watching the grades, they're watching the GPA, especially at the university level, and they're getting very, very anxious over it, and they're not used to not having it all together all of the time. And I think we need to just be a little bit more comfortable with making mistakes, but it's an uncomfortable space to be in.
The problem is, when you look at the education system, it's not geared to have any room to learn from mistakes, right? It's not geared for that. It's geared to, if you fail, you get low grades and then you have a problem, right? And it affects your GPA, which, if the GPA is not of a certain average, you have a problem. Yeah. If you don't pass a certain exam, you have a problem. It's not geared for that. And then to the point where mistakes are negative, and you could even say that at times it could be mocked. You could be looked down upon for your failures. And the problem is,
even by the people whose job is it to teach you, help you,
right? Because again, they're not necessarily. If the goal was to teach people how to think, how to be a great musician, how to be a great doctor, how to be a great scholar, how to be a great manager, what you're teaching is not a flowchart. You're teaching, you're trying to get someone to have a level of understanding and command of all of the principles and knowledge, and to then understand through various means how to make good decisions. But too often, our system of academics into entry-level jobs is just do what we tell you to do.
Yeah.
This is the question, answer the question. Memorization, right? There's not much critical thinking necessary depending on the subjects that you're doing. And when you get into an entry-level position, you're not paid to think, you're paid to do. But the problem is, how do you then develop? Because again, how many employers are willing to put up with? Because when you're trying to promote people up and up the ranks, well, what got them into the entry-level position is not going to help them be good managers. And you need to have some, obviously, if they make critical errors of negligence, then, you know, that's the end. But you need to have some facility to allow for some amount of failure, because how are you going to learn a job that requires experience if you don't give them the opportunity to gain the experience without, well, but once you make your first mistake, it's over.
That's it. Well, do you think that that's the difference between a job and a career? Because if it is that as an artist, I have to make a career out of myself, and there are going to be some fields that I'm going to have to go through. But if you just have a job and you're hired by someone just to do...
I think that's the difference between like self-employed and not, because even if you're doing just a job, there's still going to be more senior areas that require judgment. Okay. Whether it's customer service, management, problem solving, you're going to need to exercise judgment, and it's how you manage those employees without putting them down. Whereas with music, the trick with music is that it's so creative, right?
Or performing arts.
Performing arts, right? And I actually think, again, back to my analogy, it's a lot like sports in the sense of it's a performance-based industry. You have to perform, like, it's not just perform in the case of entertainment, but you have to perform as with regards to execution of your skills and abilities, right? You're in front of an audience of people, like an athlete who is in front of a crowd of people in a stadium, and there's no room, you can't go oops, right? You literally, just like an athlete can't drop the ball, the performer cannot drop the ball any moment. That moment is gone, you can never get it back.
Just as how they have practice, we have rehearsals. Just as how, and even there's even the injury thing. That's especially for vocalists or pianists, or anybody who uses their hands a lot, you know, there's
so to give a quick analogy, one of the greatest American athletes of all time based on championships, Tom Brady in the NFL, he pointed the fact that, look, I wasn't the most talented. I was the backup quarterback in a high school with a losing record. They still didn't want to play me. Then when I went to college, I was number 8 on the depth chart, and I had to work my way up to 4th. Then 3rd, then the backup, then I had to fight to be a starter. Then the next year I had to fight to be a starter again, right? So the point that he said was, it goes back to purposeful, in his case, purposeful practice to kind of point out what you were saying. He had to put the work in, but he also had to do it responsibly. It's not just, oh, well, I practiced for 3 hours, just doing whatever random.
Putting any necessary effort.
He had to put in effort into it.
Which kind of comes to our next one. Which is called the effort paradox. All right, this is number 2, where it's like you have to put in a lot of effort to make things seem effortless, right? So they say wherever you think they're just lucky, talented, have it easy. Most of the time, they work super hard and behind the scenes to get there. All right, so that even comes to what you were talking about.
Ironically, I wish this was number 1 and the other one's number 2.
I know.
Because it starts with the effort, right?
Right.
But then I think what happens in business, arts, or sports, if you're winning, you don't know what you're doing wrong.
Exactly.
Because you're succeeding, right? And I think this is where artists start to drop off, because they don't realize, well, yes, we were succeeding, but why we were succeeding, we didn't fully understand, right? Same thing with business. Why did your business succeed? Circumstances could have changed, right? And with athletes, it's easier to identify this, because teams that are winning literally have a harder time kind of self-criticizing, self-determining what are our issues, where are our weaknesses. We don't know, because we're winning. So we don't know where they are. And you see this is a common thing where at some point they kind of they're no longer able to see what they need to improve, and the other teams catches up on them because they have a clear goal, right? Whereas I guess you could say with music now, you know, you just have to, and with business, you just have to go through the process. So ironically, this is where having this second makes sense. Part of the process is you have to not be discouraged and keep the effort up despite failure.
Yes, because, you know, people will often think that what we do on a stage seems very easy, right? It seems very, it looks effortless because we have to put in a lot of effort, you know, a lot of late night rehearsals. There's a lot of prepping before and after rehearsals.
Yes.
There's a lot of doing your practice on your own. So, and just as a PSA for everybody, the difference between the word practice and rehearsal. I go home and I do my individual practice, and then we come together and we rehearse what we have individually practiced.
You're supposed to practice on your own?
Oh, yes, sure, they're supposed to practice on your own.
I am not a professional. I was never a professional entertainer.
But you still put in the work.
Not on my own.
But there's another another point that I wanted. Well, you see that, before I get to my next point, that's where efficient management of your organizations is important, because if your rehearsals is a space for people to only come there and practice, and it's accommodating to the bare minimum, then people will only put in the bare minimum. But if you set a standard, then people will rise to the occasion eventually.
I just like to point out, I was not at the level of bare minimum, all right?
No, he wasn't.
Okay, I just want to say.
But there was another clip that I saw, and it sort of rang out for me. This person on an Instagram video, they said, very gifted people, very highly intelligent people, talented people have an issue with effort, and they see effort as a threat. And let me explain what she means.
I think, yeah, you might have sent me this, yeah.
Yeah, and when they feel, and I've seen this before, when you have the bright primary school and secondary school student, they don't have to put in effort.
Yes.
Because it comes naturally to them.
Yes.
At least that level, the specific intelligence level that the school is looking for. But when you come out into the real world or tertiary level education, especially as artists, when we have to put in effort in so many different ways, rather than just accomplishing an assignment, but rather putting in the effort for rehearsals and then having to the strength and the discipline to balance everything. Because you have to, when you're a university student as an artist, you have your courses, you have your assignments, but you also have your songs to learn. You also have your ensemble rehearsals to go to. And on top of that, you still have to balance it with all of the stuff that you're doing outside. So you don't really get a lot of time to yourself. And some of them are, especially year ones, year twos, they still have a struggle with that. I remember I had an issue with that. So when you have to put in effort, it seems like a threat because, oh, I'm not as great as I thought I was. So then some either go two ways, well, three ways. They drop out and they do something else.
Right.
Some are still in it, but they do everything to a mediocre level intentionally.
Because they're coasting.
Yeah. So they're like, if it's not coming naturally to me,
I'm not going to fight it.
I'm not going to fight up with it. And then this is why...
Which is not always a bad philosophy, just how it's applied in this case is negative.
And then there are some people who, this is why people have a problem with further education, because education humbles you.
You don't know what you don't know until somebody tells you.
And then the next thing is, the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
Yep.
So, but then some people take it, they humble themselves, they step all the way down, they come down from there, and then they say, you know what, if I have to put in effort, it's okay, because that is what this requires, right? Because when you think about it, just to paint a little bit of picture, the UE students, we have all of our performances happening this week and next week. The Festival of Plays, their theatrical performances were all this weekend and upcoming. You have to do that on top of the other assignments, on top of the research courses that you have, on top of the academic writing English courses that you have to do, because they want to produce, the goal is to produce an all-rounded, not just an artist, not just a talented person who can do this, but somebody of academic quality that is able to do research, performance, education once you graduate. But in the secondary school, yes, you love the music. That's all you do. But then there's something that happens in the teenager's brain where you're like, I'm only going to do music, so I don't need to worry about all of these other things further on. I'm sorry? You do. You absolutely do. Right?
Yeah. Let me just put it bluntly. Why do you think some athletes and artists go broke because they only studied their sport or their art, and they didn't study the business side or, I don't know, an ethics course, a law course, a management course, a communications course, not how to sing, but how to talk, right? And they get, I mean, how many athletes and artists, actors, singers, the parents, the management stole from them millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, because your skills are lacking all around.
And other things. And that's why even when we do an elective on the BA level, they encourage us to do communications. Choose it as because it's important for what we do. It kind of comes to the, and then it kind of comes to the next one, and I'll link it as we have it up there. It's called the approval paradox, right? When you stop seeking approval, you gain more of it, right? All musicians have creative validation, being good enough or being seen as elite. But the more you try to fit into the mold or do what everybody else does for validation, the less likely you are to stand out or be seen, right? Be you, find confidence in yourself. Yes, it is hard, and the approval will come without even trying. So it's just this sort of thing of, well,
you still have to be good.
You still have to be good, but people won't approve. Well,
yeah. If you literally if you sounded, acted, danced, and looked like Michael Jackson, you'll just be the guy trying to look like Michael Jackson, right?
Right.
You still have, the more you are, but good, there's...
Well, this comes back to be doing it thoughtfully and with some level of effort, because are you just doing it for what people will say, or are you doing it for the overall development of yourself and the craft itself?
So this is where it's like 50-50 with business, because sometimes you have to follow the market, and sometimes you have to try to find your own niche, right? Or there's greater opportunity being your niche, similar to an artist. Now, oftentimes, the business side of it wants to index on, no, let's follow the trends. And that's where you get cookie cutter commercial, right, sort of stuff. But the flip side is, think about most of the artists who kind of stand the test of time and are memorable, right? They have a certain je ne sais quoi about them. If they are like, say, a rock band from the 80s or the 70s, right, or something like that, where you might not realize that they stand out, but they stand out for whatever reason. Or they might be an act like Madonna, Lady Gaga, or even to go to the other side, Sting, who have very discernible differences, right? Whether it's presentation, style, genre,
and
what have you.
Don't compromise it.
And they don't compromise that at all.
Things.
And artistically, for whatever they prioritize, it holds up, but also the execution level is there, because when Lady Gaga is friends with Tony Bennett, it's not that she's a pop star, she's a musician that has the respect of musicians.
Exactly. And I think this sort of links to, if you want the quick commercial fix, as opposed to longevity in your art.
The quick commercial fix is the lower effort approach.
Yes.
Because you just have to follow.
Yes.
You don't have to pioneer.
And then you don't have to, you're not able to stand the test of time, right? And then some of these things tend to come back and bite you when you get older.
Sometimes you're before your time, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're before your time and your art form is like, this person would have been so much better 10 years later because of the trends.
Yeah.
But then now the question is, if they were better, maybe they could have made the trend.
Possibly. But something else that bites really hard.
Let's go quick in these last two ones.
Something that bites really hard, the money paradox.
Yes, this definitely is in line with business.
Yeah,
right?
So
Definitely.
It's for sure. So the money paradox is basically you have to lose money to make some money, whether it's your instrument, your education, a move, paying to audition, or filling the holes in how to make a living as a musician that music schools don't provide, and they don't. You have to invest before you see reward. Right, here's the important part. Invest in things that will double, triple, or quadruple your investment. So yes, have a great instrument, have a great education, but also invest in things that will teach you how to make a living with your great instrument and great education.
This is where mentors, and you've said this before, so I'm kind of stealing from you, like Dr. Brown is important, right? Because you don't always know. Like in business, if I knew what would quadruple my investment, everybody would just pick that, right? And they say here double, triple, or quadruple because it's a bit more subjective. But the point is mentorship, getting someone with the experience. In all fields it matters. In sports, in business, in anything. But music is one of those kind of weird things maybe even more than sports, where there's a lot that you have to figure out in the moment. Because there's an industry, but it's not like a sport where the business side is systematized.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What is the value of your art versus his art? Now, I do the same sport. I play the same position as person X. I run, we can measure how fast I run. Am I faster than him? Am I slower than him? Am I stronger than him? There's so many things we could measure in sports to compare me to him. I have the same level of accomplishment as him statistically, so I should get paid as much. You do a different genre to this other guy. How do we compare that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're not doing soca in TNT. How do you put a value to that? What is the fair market value to that? What it should be? Yeah. So it's hard to then know how to invest, you don't have a dollar figure to put on these things to figure it out. So you need someone experienced that understands these things intrinsically.
One of the things that I've actually learned, I had to learn to adjust my relationship with money, because I grew up with either sides of the spectrum, where there was a culture of hold on to every bit of it as you can, and then there was the other one of spend as much as you can. And I've had to sort of find that balance in between, because in order for more to come, there's a philosophy, there's a life principle, you kind of have to make room for more to come. But you also have to be very thoughtful and responsible that you don't spend it all out.
Yeah, COVID taught us that.
Yeah, exactly, precisely. So when you have that, you really need to adjust our relationship with money. Now let's get to the very last one, which is the most important for me, because I'm going through this right now. It's called the opportunity paradox, all right? Take on less to do more. When a young musician, when you're a young musician, you should try a bit of everything. Teaching, playing, admin, non-music work. It's only by trying that you find your passion. But, in all caps, once you find what you enjoy doing the most, start curating what you say yes to. A full calendar looks great, but a calendar filled with really cool, fun, selective things that you can do excellently is even better. So story time. So when I was young, obviously, started doing everything, trying every bit of it, mainly because I was moving from a place I made a decision about music late, right? So I did sixth form, I was a science student, that sort of thing, and I took a year off. And I just sort of tried to feel my way through things. So I was trying everything because in my mind, I was trying to make up for lost time. Then I realized as I got older, that's not a thing. So I always thought that I was behind. And so I tried and I tried and I tried. I've experienced some things. I've experienced many things. And being in different roles and different positions. And now that it feels weird saying this, but I'm 28, and I have started saying no a little bit more often to what I do and to how much I involve myself in certain things. Why? Because I've realized a lot of the stress that I experienced has a lot to do with saying yes just for saying yes sake. And I'm at that point where I have to sort of start curating what I say yes to. We had Siobhan Brathwaite on in season 1, and he talked about the difference between building a career and chasing one. So if you're chasing one, that means you're just hungry for any and everything, and that means you'll say yes even if it sort of betrays you or betrays who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
If you're building a career, you're very intentional, you're very thoughtful, you're very specific and conscious of the type of life that you want to make for yourself. And I remember having this conversation with one of my former lecturers. I said, listen, I can't do this anymore. But I did tell her, admittedly, I thought I was making this decision. I thought I would be making this decision in my 30s. She's like, well, you're only 2 years ahead of the time, so why not? And she had to reassure me there's only one you, right? So you can't say yes to everything, right? When you're in your 20, 25, 26, sure, maybe. But then I'm going through this transitional period where I can't do any and everything anymore.
Now, in the business world, this is not always pertinent, but it can be because it comes down to job performance. A lot of businessmen, they dabble in a lot of things. And I think this all comes back down to sometimes your job performance as an artist, as a businessman, will suffer if you stretch
Yeah.
yourself too thin.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to pull back, because what's the point of doing 6 jobs if they're all mediocre and you're not going to have a future with any of them? No good referrals, nothing. For media, it's very, very, very a lot easier to see direct parallels with artists, because media personalities, it's a performance-based industry, right? It's a live entertainment industry to some extent, or a live performance, not always entertainment, but even if you're doing news, it's still to some extent a vocal performance, right? And you could easily get caught up with having a schedule that's too full and run into some of these same problems. This is where the effort talk is kind of a catch-22, because it's like max effort, well, but not so that you run yourself into the ground.
So thoughtful effort.
Right. The thing is, and for an example, someone who does what I do with a daily show that deals with politics, if you want to chase a career, you might try to find a spot in a political party and get a political appointment as soon as possible. Right. But then the problem is, what are you selling out to do that? Because, you know, you start off being objective, and all of a sudden you kind of put some of that off to the side to appease your new employer, your new boss, right? So as opposed to building the career of, if my whole thing is being objective, I have to be willing to stand apart. Yeah. And if I'm going to join, I have to guard my objectivity because that's mine. That's what I don't have intellectual property of a score, of a play, of a script, of a piece. It's literally me and my reputation. So is the closest thing I have to that's not a lot. That's very little bit.
You are technically the product. Technically the product.
That's only such a good product, right? Before it's questionable.
I'll be honest. So sometimes, and we're going to wrap up very, very soon, but I'll be honest. When you have that thought to yourself, my initial thing was, Mark, who do you think you are? Like, you're now turned 28. You're not even close to...
This is the catch.
That's the thing. But then that's the little gremlin in your head saying...
It's not...
No.
It's not just that. It's not just that. I think there are students who should have... Everybody should, to some extent, have that thought. The whole, I'm a private person and this thing doesn't matter. I run a red light. No. Your reputation is built off of who you are every day and and what you practice, who you practice to be every day.
But what I mean by that also is, like, who do you... Like,
self-importance?
Yeah. Like, who you think you are saying that, you know, you need to say no more, no a little bit more. Yeah. But then this is the importance of having mentors, as we said. You know, I was speaking to one of them and they said, listen, if this is the decision that you need to make, here's what I will say. Is it going to affect your career in any way? Not really. The person has had enough experience to sort of guide me in that direction.
When nobody knows you, saying no might be bad. Yeah. But at some point, you've reached a point where people start to know you. The thing is, here's the catch. More people will ask of you. Yeah. So that's what makes it an ever-growing problem that is not sustainable.
And then there's the thing of people are like, well, you should take our ass. Well, then stop asking me. but then it's the career, and so I have to make the choice for myself.
The other thing that I realize, and maybe part of this is an excuse to not put too much, 100% effort in where I should, but doing a daily show, I've now reached the point where it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. Okay. So I can't be on sprint mode every day.
Yeah, no.
Right?
That's stressful.
And it's the same thing for you. Like, you've reached the point now where you've got your degree, you've made up a name for yourself. Now you need to not let your quality drop. Right. As opposed to trying to network with any and everybody and agree to everything. Because if your quality drops, that's all, it goes to nothing.
And that's the life paradoxes that we, as artists, and all careers, especially in media and communications, that's what we face. Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen, we have to take a quick break to invite our next guest, but stay tuned, we'll be back.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really want
to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say, we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. So we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
Bring the magic of Christmas home with WESN's Joy of Christmas. Relive timeless classics from the laughter to the heartwarming moments that make the season unforgettable.
Hey, 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 like the lamp, not the rat, like the lamp, not the rat.
Santa's coming to town.
Ah! Oh my God!
Oh, baby.
Experience the joy of WESN special productions, crafted to bring you new stories and cherished memories. This year, let WESN bring the joy of Christmas to your home.
Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown!
Catch the spirit, catch the joy.
Anchors away. May the force be with you.
Only on WESN, your content capital.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Maybe he landed here totally by coincidence. But if by chance he's admiring your fresh coat of Benjamin Moore soft sky blue, well, that's a pretty high compliment. Coming from an expert.
SM Group International Limited, your solutions partner for the latest innovations, brands, and competent staff to meet your needs. We provide products and services in the following divisions: executive services, event rental and services, power and heavy equipment, construction and property management, food and beverage, aggregate and sales and distribution. Check out more on our products and services at www.smgrouptt.com. Contact us at 221-7445 or email at info@smgrouptt.com. We are SM Group International, your solutions partner.
Pastor J, I want to get a tattoo.
You really want
Respond to me. Respond to me how you would respond to me.
The first question I'll ask is why?
Controversial taboo topics.
We get so consumed by church, we forget that we have to live the life of being a Christian outside of the Sunday.
Like you say,
services.
we think going to a service makes us a Christian.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So here we are about to hear the second time Pastor J wanted to take a tattoo.
Would have been late last year and early this year.
Oh gosh.
Hope Unfiltered podcast with Pastor J and Ren.
Money is something we all deal with, but how many of us truly understand it? What if you could make better decisions with your money? Decisions that secure your future, protect your family, and bring you peace of mind. I'm Darren Jacobs, and I'm here to help you make sense of your dollars. Welcome to Dollars and Cents, the show that breaks down the financial world in ways that matter to you. No jargon, no confusion, just real conversations about money, your money. So join me every Wednesday at 10 a.m. on WESN for Dollars and Cents.
This is Face of Sports, WESN Content Capital. How you felt about the kiss on the lip?
That's the business. I'm nothing to do with that.
I find that was distasteful.
The national senior team, whether you like it or not, that is the model for all other teams to follow.
I'm assuming that the regional requirement may be a much stricter requirement.
This is not about Pro League and Super League. This is a league run by the normalization committee that I'm responsible for.
Nobody expected FIFA to fund this arrangement.
If we don't get a professional attitude towards this, we are doomed for failure.
You break the balance, trip the leg, control the body.
They ain't gonna stand put forever.
Why you want the Chiefs to lose so? Why you want the Chiefs to lose so?
They already have two. Lamar don't
Why?
have.
You're jealous because you know the Chiefs getting closer to the Patriots. Let's go to the last part.
No.
Let's go to the last part.
One Voice presents We Are Christmas, a joyful celebration at the Cura Presbyterian Church, Sunday, December 1st at 6:30 p.m., featuring the singers of One Voice and the UB Arts Intermediate Steel Ensemble. Tickets are only $200. See you there.
Yes, that was an ad done by for my concert that's happening this Sunday at the Cura Presbyterian Church. All right, please be there. Tickets are $200. It's going to be a great event. So I hope to see you there soon.
I just wanted to say up front, and unlike what may have happened in the past, Mark's group One Voice, we have some stuff for WSN for Christmas, but it won't be the stuff for the concert, so you need to see both if you want to see both.
Yes, you do.
All
right, happening this Sunday, the 1st of December. I can't wait to see everyone there. But getting into our next segment, our spotlight segment. Yes, so we have a young man. We've had him on the station before in a different show, but now he's on Breakthrough for the very first time. Please welcome Zach De Lima. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right, so you have a new release out. Yes. Tell us about it.
The song is called It's Christmas Time. Mm-hmm. I wrote it about 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow!
Yeah.
Okay.
And I only just started to work on it with my cousin Marte Manmohan. And we put in a lot of work. I gathered the musicians, you know. I had those tracks recorded for a long time, but I only felt comfortable with it this year for this Christmas. Okay. And what happens to me is usually when I'm working on something, I tend to wait too late. So like I get into the Christmas spirit in December and be like, oh no, I should put a Christmas song out.
Okay. Yeah, and by the time you get it out, it'll be like December the 22nd or something. Like the season is half over or mostly over.
Yeah, and I find that that's something that tends to happen to me a lot. So I'm trying to work on that and be prepared.
Okay.
So I'm working on Christmas songs for next year from now.
Okay.
Well,
in the spirit from now.
Yeah.
So you know.
So I mean, you said it took 4 years, and you were sitting on the music tracks and the vocal tracks, I assume, for a while before you released anything. One of the things that I have to ask, because this is one of those, it's like just one of those like paradoxes. You know, physics has paradoxes, and logic has paradoxes, and philosophy. Music has the great Christmas paradox of Christmas songs, no pun intended, breaking through. Right, because there's a lot of traditional Christmas songs, but it's not like you have like 10 new Christmas songs that are popular every year from around the world, right? And here you come now, like you're like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to crack one of the hardest nuts to crack in all of music. I'm gonna put out Christmas music. Is that one of the reasons why you kind of sat on it for so long?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that's definitely one of the reasons, but I'm also a perfectionist, and I think most musicians and songwriters are. Artistic people tend to be perfectionists and hold things back. And I think that that's not a good thing because you never know when something may happen. It's good to get your music out there. And
I mean, case in point, Rose's new song APT with Bruno Mars.
Yeah, for sure.
So the story on that was she doubted the song based on a drinking game. She just didn't necessarily want to release it. And then when she got a chance to work with Bruno Mars, she was like, oh, he responded. For whatever reason, she sent that as one of the songs, and that's the one he picked. And now he just had an Instagram post saying, Rosie just he didn't say messed around, but messed around, and all of a sudden I'm a Korean pop star with a Mama Award, right?
Wow.
So it was a song that she herself didn't necessarily have ultimate, total faith in.
Yeah.
So is that one of the case for
I would say so, yeah. But, I thought that, most people should like this song, I hope. And it has a very vibrant feel, and it puts you into the Christmas spirit. Speaking of that, this morning I just went by Source Doubles and did a TikTok with them because I'm doing this thing where I'm going by different people and doing TikToks.
With the track, with the music?
Yeah, with the music. Because the main line of the song is "Everybody come and gather around." So that's the message I'm trying to.
So when I did hear it, it did remind me of a time.
Okay.
Where not a specific moment, but it did remind me of an era of music when I was younger, and it has that sort of really jolly sort of.
Is it like a nostalgic feeling you get from it?
Yes, I do get a bit of a nostalgia. It reminds
like
me of
old
music,
90s.
Yeah, something like that. Just playing on the radio all of the time and you're hearing, and it's like this is a new release, but it's like I felt this before.
Right.
But I think what you've done with it is really, really great, and the fact that I can have that feeling with it, I think you sort of accomplished what you were going for.
Thank you so much.
That's one of the weird things. Like a Christmas song, it has very specific things you have to hit, so it kind of prevents you from I'm gonna break expectations with this new Christmas song that they'll never say. It's like, no, it has to feel like Christmas. It has to have a significant amount of nostalgia that's going to kind of keep you in a box.
Like you said, it's some years old, so if you could go back, like, what was the process or the thinking behind creating this 3-4 years ago?
Well, I got inspired by Christmas music and watching Christmas movies, and I thought, it would be really good for me to have a Christmas song. I have a Christmas song that I released in 2021 as well, but it's a slower song.
Yeah.
But I wanted something a little bit more up-tempo that, it can make people dance.
Right.
So I sat down in my home studio and just decided, let me write something very simple and catchy, straight to the point, don't sugarcoat it. And just make it very simple and fun.
Right.
And even back then, I made it on my iPad. With GarageBand, I just had the idea there, and I sent it to my cousin Mate, and he was like, let's work with this, and then we never got to work on it, and things happen in life, and he got busy, I got busy doing things, the pandemic, everything like that.
Pandemic, yeah.
And then, so I had the basic structure of what I wanted to accomplish. So I reached out to different people like Sarah Sukran, Joshua Regrello to play the pan, Dexter Banfield with the drums. I did some guitars, I did the keys. And then, I just said to myself, let me get this out there. It's time. It's time. It feels right. And I went by Mate's studio and we recorded it. I think it was early last month.
And what has the feedback been?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
it's probably the best feedback I've ever gotten from any song.
Okay.
And I have performances lined up already, and I performed last night as well at Cafe Blue.
Okay.
Right. I guess it's something about having a new Christmas song, because that's one of the things about Christmas is like, where are all the new Christmas songs?
That's not Soca Parang.
Yeah, or Mariah Carey.
Right.
Like, how many times are we gonna all I want for Christmas is you?
So
exactly.
So you shot a video for it, and we're gonna end with that so that people can get a chance to see it. But what was that process like? Because in terms of
not your face video.
No.
Yeah. So what was that process like, and what was the concept behind that? Because the first line is people were gathered around.
You had from the clip on social media, you had a lot of people. I'll say that. This does not look like a bare bones video.
So how was that?
Well, I'll tell you, we had to change the location of the video because I wanted to do it outdoors by the foreshore with the sea in the background. I just had that vision, And because of all the rain, I had to switch locations Very last minute.
We just had a shoot this weekend, same thing.
Serious?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then people were pulling out like the day before and the day of.
Wow.
But then
That's so stressful.
it just seemed like a Christmas miracle, you know, because people just started to like gather around.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Like, that's really what I wanted. And it, you know, I have to say thanks to my uncle because he let us use his building.
Okay.
So thanks to Uncle Jared for that. And we shot the video in a lovely area. We set it up nicely. I just want to thank my mom as well, Jennifer, my girlfriend Bridget. Shot by my friend Obiora Smith. He's a very good videographer and editor.
Yes, yeah.
You may know him as well. And directed by Isaiah Rose. And it's just phenomenal.
Great.
Yeah,
it's great. So I will be playing this song while I am cleaning my house for Christmas. It's definitely one for the stereo.
I actually think you could play around with the live performance and add more to it, because that's the thing. It's a good bass that's catchy, and you know, you get some musicians jamming, and it's in theme with everybody gather around. What else could we add to this? And
exactly.
This is something that you could probably run with in a live performance, not just this year, but every year.
That's
so
what
you
I'm
know,
hoping for.
reinvent it. You know, each year.
The same way that Mariah Carey has a song every year, I want my song to be
But
every
she
year.
doesn't reinvent it though.
The live performances, yes, she does. Okay, she leans into the memes a little bit. But anyway,
into the memes. I'm not asking you to be a meme, right? Let her be the meme.
I really like the song. Congratulations, it's really good.
Thank you so much.
We're gonna roll to it right now.
Yeah.
So Trinidad and Tobago, this is Christmas time again.
It's Christmas time.
It's Christmas time by Zach De Lima. My name is Mark Anthony Peter. This is Sean Michael Small. Thank you to Zach for joining us. Thank you so much. And we end with a little bit of his song. Take care. Bye-bye.
Santa's on his sleigh, ready to go. 1, 2, 3, hey! Everybody come and gather around. Everybody come and gather around. It's Christmas time again. Everybody come and gather around. Everybody come and gather around. It's Christmas time again. It's the sweetest time of the year. You can feel the Christmas spirit in the air. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Friends and family from far away join each other for that special day. 1, 2, 3, hey! Everybody come and gather around. Everybody come and gather around. It's Christmas time again. Everybody come and gather around. Everybody come and gather around. It's Christmas time again. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time again. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas. It's time. It's Christmas time again. Yeah, 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 yeah. Everybody come and gather around. Everybody come and gather around. It's Christmas time again. Everybody come and gather around. Everybody come and gather around. It's Christmas time again. It's Christmas time again. Everybody come and gather around. Everybody come and gather around. It's Christmas time again.
WESN.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Naomi McNish. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Tragic roadside mishap claims the life of a Princestown man. Ministry mobilizes after severe flooding and landslides. Barrackpore man chops friend in an alcohol-fueled dispute. And domestic violence victim sues state over collapsed